for the Denver Broncos, all right? If it fell exactly like this, how would we feel? So, this is Mike Tannenbaum. We just talked about him, who was doing comps on ESPN for Shedeur Sanders. Mike Tannenbaum, former general manager, okay? A player personnel guy, a player development guy with the Jets, assistant GM, vice president, football ops, all that stuff on his resume. And so he did a 7-round mock draft, and I'm curious if it fell exactly like Mike Tannenbaum has it, just how would we feel in general, okay? So it's interesting because in this exercise, the Broncos are on the clock with the 20th overall pick, and Omarion Hampton is still on the board here.
All right, let's go. We're getting our running back, right?
Mm-hmm. Broncos step up. All right. With the 20th pick in round 1, the Denver Broncos select Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Missouri.
Luther Burden.
What would you think if that was the case?
I'm like, okay, Sean. So obviously you want that receiver. You didn't get the veteran receiver that you wanted because we talked about it, that the Broncos called in for Stephon Diggs to just check him out. So what you're telling me is you don't get that veteran receiver. You're going into the draft first round to get a receiver that you know is going to help out, that has the speed, because Luther Burden ran a 4.41, almost a 4.3. At the combine. So he has the route running abilities. He has the speed to stretch the field. And what you're thinking of for Sean is, hey, we're going to throw the ball 40 times a game, and that's why we need another receiver, a receiver one that we believe over time will take the place of Courtland Sutton. So do I like it? Hell no, I don't like it, Zach. We need a running back. We have a tight end now. You have a receiver in Courtland Sutton. I know some people are saying, well, he's not a receiver one, but he's here. All we're missing for this team is a running back. And you just told me that Omarion Hampton was sitting there at 20 that we could have picked up, and he would have made that major impact for us right now, would have helped the run game out with the offensive line that we have. Why do we not pick him up? Why did we not, in this scenario, pick him up? So some people might be cheering. I'm booing. I want the running back. I want a 1,000-yard running back. I want a running back that can help Bo Nix out running the football and catching out of the backfield.
Man, oh man.
How you feeling?
Kind of like you. And I'll say this. This is actually like separate from the evaluation of Luther Burden, because Luther Burden could be a fantastic wide receiver. Maybe he is a perennial Pro Bowler. But you think a team need, and you think of who would be on the board in this sequence from Mike Tannenbaum from ESPN, it would be, it would just be tough. It would be tough to swallow.
Would you be confused? Would you be like, why? Like, what's going on? Why? Omarion Hampton's right in front of you? Like, what's going on, Sean?
I would have to think that they have someone else in mind that they're certain that they could get later, or maybe two guys that they are in love with but don't have first-round grades on that can check the box, I guess.
Shame on Sean and George. Here's why. Omarion Hampton is a violent runner, and he's a violent finisher. So he's always going to get those extra yards for you. He's going to hang on to the football. He can catch out of the backfield. Oh, and he's a great pass blocker right off the bat. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about continuing to sub him in and out. If you want to keep him in for the whole entire drive, that's the running back you do it with. Why are we neglecting the running back position again? And I know this is a made-up scenario, so I don't expect this to happen if Omarion Hampton's sitting there at 20. But in this case, we pass on him. That's a big mistake when you know that you need a run game. The teams that were in the playoffs this year all had a running back except for the Denver Broncos. Even the Commanders, the Washington Commanders had two running backs, and Austin Eckler and Robinson. Two different type of running backs, but they keep you honest. And then, of course, the Bills had Cook, Ravens had Derrick Henry, and Philadelphia had Saquon.
Yeah.
So we need a running back if we're going to make the noise that we all believe we can when we get to the playoffs. Don't mess around with this pick, Sean. Pick up Omarion Hampton if he's there.
Well, and you know what I think as well, and again, this is just one scenario here, is that, like, if you need a running back and you pass on Amarion Hampton to more of like some sort of you're going to play chess in the second or third round, with the draft, and someone like that gets scooped up by the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're watching a pass-catching running back thrive in an Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes system for years to come, and you're just like, what could have been? In terms of burden, let me just read what Mike Tannenbaum, former general manager, said about this pick for the Broncos. He said, quote, Broncos coach Sean Payton talked about finding a joker in the passing game and signed free agent tight end Evan Ingram to do that. But that doesn't mean the Broncos shouldn't throw more resources into helping second-year quarterback Bo Nix. Luther Burden is one of my favorite players in this class, and I feel he has been a victim of over-evaluation. He exploded as a sophomore in 2023 with 86 receptions for over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, but fell in 2024. That drop-off has prompted a lot of questions, but a lot of it could be blamed on an inconsistent Missouri offense. Burden has the size, 6 feet, 200 pounds, and the speed, a 4.41, and the tools to be an elite receiver lining up outside or in the slot, end quote.
Well, don't get me wrong. If Burden steps on that football field and he's just blowing by defenders, we're all going to be happy. And we're going to be sitting here saying, Sean, you're a genius. All I'm saying is the running back position needs to be filled. We need one this year. Next year, this year, we didn't have a run game. We didn't have a tight end in the room that we could rely on, and it hurt us in the end. So don't pass up on a good running back because of speed or something, that vision for Bo Nix throwing 40 times a game. I don't want Bo throwing 40 times a game, Zach. I'm sorry. 33, 34, hand the ball off, look pretty, and then when you do throw those 33, 34 passes, complete majority of them, 28 of 33.
That's a really high completion percentage.
But you want to know why that can happen? Because you have the running game, and now people are going to come up and move in the box. Now you're keeping defenses honest, and now you'll have opportunities to have more explosive plays.
Well, probably a little bit too high for a completion percentage, I would say.
Yeah.
But I understand
but
what
it's Bo, man.
It is Bo. It is Bo, but he'd be the most accurate quarterback of all time if
Right.
he completed 28 of 35 every Sunday, I think.
No. I'm not saying every Sunday.
Okay,
but around
okay.
that, like Bo is already consistent.
Yes,
And he gets
yes.
the ball out of his hands fast. He gets
Yes.
it into the receivers. Imagine of him getting the ball into the ball into the tight end's hands and then the running back's hands. Like, it's easier passes.
Totally.
And that's what helps your 38 to 28 of 33, Zach.
Yeah. All right. But we'll see. Here's Mike Tannenbaum on Amarion Hampton and who Sean would see. This is interesting because this is a separate piece of audio from before Mike Tannenbaum did this exercise, but it's the same guy talking about Amarion Hampton and who Sean Payton would see when he evaluates his game.
Yeah, it's a great question. We talked about that yesterday. Like, you're going to see over 20 running backs drafted. The depth and the quality, like in prior years, we'd be talking about Cam Scalaboo more. I mean, DJ Hart. There's so many guys like we could talk about. I just think Hampton's speed, size, and his ability to catch, I think Sean's going to have a tough time passing that guy up. I think he's going to see Alvin Kamara.
He's going to see Alvin Kamara when he looks at Amarion Hampton. So I'm a little bit confused because in the same guy's exercise, he has Sean passing on Alvin Kamara. But let me bounce this off of you, Phil. Let me bounce this off of you. In the second round, this is a 7-round mock from ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum. In the second round, they drafted with the 51st overall pick, Quinshawn Judkins, running back from Ohio State. Would that make you feel a little bit better if they went wide receiver at 20th overall, running back at 51st overall?
Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with it because now it's like Sean has a plan. But I don't think Judkins is better than Amarion Hampton. I think that Judkins brings something different to the table. He can come out the backfield as well as a receiver. I think Amarion Hampton's a better receiving back than Judkins.
Okay.
But also, I like Judkins' contact balance. I like that he can still block. I like that he's patient through the hole. When I was watching film on him, he's very patient through the hole, and he would thrive in this offense. He doesn't have that breakaway speed like Amarion Hampton does. That's the difference. Is I'm looking for a home run hitting ability. That's what's there at 21st. If Amari Hampton's sitting there at 20, pick a man up like that because it's hard to get that home run hitting ability. There's been people that ask me, like, what is the Denver Broncos missing in the running back room? Like, what's going to get a running back to 1,000 yards? You're going to have to come up with some explosive plays.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be able to break some tackles, take a couple to the house, break more than 22 yards. Maybe let's go for a 25-yard run. If you can do that consistently, I'm not saying every time you touch the ball, but every game you have an explosive play, that adds up. And then you look up and you have 1,000 yards rushing. You look up and you're winning games and your running back are being explosive. That running back or backs are being explosive. And now it opens Bo Nix in the pass game. That's what you're looking for. So that's why I would not pass on Amari Hampton, Zach. Although Judkins is a good running back, and I would still be okay with it.
Sure.
We don't know what these running backs are going to look like until they hit the field.
Yeah.
Don't pass up on a guy that can bring that talent, that juice, that explosiveness that you need right away.
Well, Judkins this past year averaged 5.5 yards a carry behind that offensive line from Ohio State, over 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. Was at Ole Miss for the 2 years prior to transferring to Columbus, part of that $20 million roster that in NIL money that they had this past year in Columbus. This is what Mike Tannenbaum said about the selection in this 7-round mock of Quinshon Judkins, running back for Ohio State, going to Denver. He says, quote, "The Broncos join the round 2 run on running backs and get a punishing, violent runner with inside-outside ability to be a featured back in the pros. Judkins checks all the boxes at 6'2", 221 with 4.48 speed and can be a capable receiver out of the backfield. He has a seek and destroy mentality when encountering tackles in the box, and he has the juice to run away from defenders when he finds daylight. Judkins could pair well with a small, speedy back like he did with Henderson at Ohio State, or be a dominant RB1, end quote. Pair with a small, speedy back.
You know who that is?
Your stepbrother.
Oh, why you gotta be my stepbrother?
Your client. You're his agent.
I'm just saying, you put Jaleel McLaughlin out there, put him in better situations. We're not talking about running him up the middle, but get him in the screen game. Get him out in the open where he can utilize the speed that's there that Zach Bye doesn't think he has anymore.
I just want to see it.
I
Eventually,
agree
don't
with
you want to see it?
I do. I want to see it on display. And that can happen if you add another running back, a bell cow running back to the mix. Now when Jaleel gets in there, he's that change of pass back. And people may not be looking for him. And that's when you can bust off longer runs.
All right. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. In this scenario, if you're just joining us, ESPN 7-round mock, and excuse me, I said Mike Tannenbaum. I meant Matt Miller, their draft analyst. Matt Miller has the Broncos going Luther Burden in round 1, 20th overall, and then in round 2 with the 51st overall pick, drafting Quinshon Judkins, and that brings us to the 3rd round, where the Broncos are on the clock at 85, the 85th overall pick in round 3, and they draft a defensive tackle from Texas A&M, Shamar Turner. All right? Matt Miller says, Turner would be a nice addition to a stout Denver defense, as he is an ideal 5 technique with starter potential opposite Zach Allen, end quote. So I don't expect people to know Shamar Turner's game, all right? Or really any of these guys' games. I really don't. If you do, great. But if you look at just the positions that they checked in the first 3 rounds, wide receiver in round 1, running back in round 2, D tackle in round 3, how are we feeling just on the philosophy of the draft if it fell this way?
Zach, because of what we have done in the free agency period, now we're picking. We have luxury picks. We're not sitting here trying to get an inside linebacker in round 1 or round 2 because we have it in Greenlaw. We're not trying to find that safety in the 3rd or 2nd round because you have Fungus sitting right there. Now you can start to add the depth. And now that in this scenario, you picked a running back up and you added a receiver to go with Cortland Sutton and Evan Ingram, the tight end, now you start to say, okay, we need depth. We need more pieces at certain positions. Defensively, you can never have enough defensive linemen. whether it's pass rushers, whether it's a defensive tackle. And
Agreed.
in this case, Zach,
Agreed.
you have John Franklin Myers, you have Malcolm Roach, and you have Zach Allen, all three of them that are going to want contracts. And if you have a defensive tackle that comes in and can produce and is doing better than someone like Malcolm Roach, you're not going to sign Malcolm Roach back. You may not sign John Franklin Myers back because of it, because you have a guy in the building that's young on a rookie deal.
Right.
So,
and we know everyone's not getting extended that wants an extension.
There's going to probably be one out of the defensive tackles. One guy will get extended, maybe two, but for sure Zach Allen will get extended. Why would he not?
Yeah.
We need him here. But if you can hit on a defensive tackle in the third round, that's going to help out, and you need the depth so this defense can continue to be top 5, top 10 in the league.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't hate this. I wouldn't hate this. If you
like defensive tackles.
I love defensive tackles. Look, we've been doing this show long enough. I just believe in the trenches in football more than anything else. I just more
That's
than
something
anything
that
else.
we can agree with. I love that you say that, Zach, because there are a lot of people that want to build from the outside in. That's not how you.
No, that's insane. That's insane. That's not how football works. If their evaluation has Luther Burden as the pick, let's go. I'm open to it. I'm open to it.
It's let's bow for you, man. Don't make me
let's
have to tell
bow.
you again.
And then the Broncos go running back in round 2 and D tackle in round 3. Is it the perfectly ideal situation in my opinion? The way that I would do the first 3 rounds if I had my druthers to just wave a wand? Probably not. But it's 2 of the 3. It's 2 of the 3.
All right.
Like the fact that you're grabbing a running back in round 2 and a D tackle in round 3, all that would be missing is honestly just bumping one of these positions into the first round and drafting a tight end as well. So it would be draft a running back, draft a defensive tackle, draft a tight end, or draft a running back, draft a tight end, draft a defensive tackle.
So you want a tight end no matter what. We need a tight end in here in the first 3 rounds. Tight end should be off the board.
Phil, it's been almost 10 years since a high-level tight end played in Denver, Colorado.
Well, we got one in Evan Ingram now. Have no fear.
He's 30 years old. Like, this is not, and he's not God's gift either, right? So I would be trying to, you've addressed the position, now stack the position, build for the future. I know, take a shot, because I'm going to say tight end is a slow starting position historically. So you let
That's a fact.
You let that tight end incubate behind Evan Ingram, but he's your plan. If you hit on that guy, much like Kittle or Kelsey, you could be there for a decade. Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, they all spent so much time.
But tell me this, does it matter if a tight end gets picked in the first 3 rounds, or as long as a tight end gets picked at all?
First 3 rounds.
What if you're reaching, though? What if one of these tight ends are not as good as you think, and it's like, okay, we can take him in the 3rd round, but he's not a 3rd round tight end on our board? Do you still want him to do that?
No. This is sort of all under the premise that you have grades on these players. You're not going to overextend just to do it. But I think it would make sense if this is one of the deepest tight end classes in recent memory, one of the deepest D tackle classes in recent memory, and one of the deepest running back classes in recent memory, and the Broncos need all of that stuff. It feels like the Broncos, timing in life is so much, it's half of things. It's just timing.
Yeah.
It feels like the Broncos are intersecting with a draft that is deep, historically deep, at 3 positions that the Broncos need.
Running back, tight end, defensive tackle.
Broncos need all of them. They need all of them. So I would love, again, if they had Luther Burden, as ESPN does in the 7-round mock, okay, you have to trust your evaluation and trust George Payton and trust Sean Payton and the Broncos. But that's why I said if I could wave a wand and have it my way, that's how I would have it falling. But they have 2 of the 3.
No, they do. And, look, if they have 2 of the 3, defensive tackle, running back, you have the tight end already with Evan Ingram. This is what we've been asking for. I'm with you. If there's a tight end out there that we can pick up in the 2nd or 3rd round, why would you not do that? Because Evan Ingram is getting older. He is 30 years old. He is going to need help. And if it's a long season, if something happens where he has to miss some games, can you put another tight end in, a young one that can get the job done and continue to develop and help you out?
Yes.
And he'll be a rookie on a rookie deal. So as time goes on, year 2, year 3, he'll still be on that rookie deal and getting better every single year.
Yes.
I'm with you, Zach. I'm with you. I just don't want them to reach for a tight end if that is not in the cards for them and there's not a tight end in the 3rd round that they like. But if there is, double dip. just like with the running back position
Yes,
right now. If
yes.
you don't pick up another veteran running back in free agency,
Agreed,
double
man.
dip in the draft
Agreed.
to help you out, because you can never have enough players when you're playing football, especially because somebody is going to get hurt, guys. Hopefully we stay as healthy as can be, but somebody will be hurt, get hurt, and that next guy up, the next guy in line, can he do his job now?
Yeah. All right. So according to this mock draft, Broncos go wide receiver, running back, defensive tackle. I would be okay with it. Two of the three. You ever hear the artist Meatloaf? You ever hear?
No.
You ever hear the artist Meatloaf? You ever hear the artist Meatloaf, Dante? Yeah. He had a song. I think it was Meatloaf. I hope it was Meatloaf. Meatloaf. It was 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And he's like,
right.
he's talking to a girl. I want you. I need you. But I know I'm like never going to actually love you. But 2 out of the 3 aren't bad. I still want you. I need you. I'm just not going to love you.
All right, Meatloaf.
2 of the 3 aren't bad. So if you gave me a running back and a defensive tackle, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Just to finish out this 7-round mock, if it fell like this, all right, this is Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst. So it's Luther Burden, wide receiver in the first round, Quinshon Judkins, a running back from Ohio State in the second round, Shamar Turner, defensive tackle from Texas A&M in the third round, Jake Majors, a center out of Texas, hook 'em, in the fourth round.
Look at you.
And then in their 2 picks in the sixth round, they have an additional 6th-round pick from Arizona, which I believe was the Baron Browning trade. They draft Joshua Simon, a tight end out of South Carolina.
There's your tight end.
There's my tight end in the 6th round. And then the other pick is Bilal Cohn, a corner from Western Michigan. And with the final pick, it's Ja Jorner, an edge rusher out of Minnesota. So in this scenario, you walk away with a wide receiver, a running back, a D tackle, a center, a tight end, a corner, and an edge rusher.
Everything you need. What more do you need?
I don't hate it.
You need them to hit. You need George to do a great job of